Welcome to It's a Death Sentence. I'm Emma Skip.
And I'm Carrie Smith.
It's always nice to know we are still the same people.
On who we say we are.
On who we say we are. In this episode, we're going to talk about being neurodivergent and what that is like if you experience the loss of a loved one. So this episode does discuss death, grief, sensory overwhelm, burnout and mental health. So please take care of yourselves whilst listening. That's our trigger notice.
Yeah. I mean, grief is grief, right? Or is it different? This is what we're here to discuss, isn't it?
I personally think that the spectrum of human emotion is enormous, whether you're neurodivergent or neurotypical. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to grieve, personally.
I mean, I think I have only been aware of this term, neurodivergent, in the last, 5 years, if that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very current.
What it's trying to do is the right thing. It's trying to change attitudes to make everything more inclusive for people who
Which is perfect.
Not considered to be neurotypical. But you and I think, both have an issue with even the phrase neurotypical because it assumes something. It assumes that there is a typical, but what there actually is a stereotyped typical.
Yeah, so that's what they would class as a norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how we operate how we operate in social situations, how we read signals, things like that. So if you don't do that in a way that is considered normal or a stereotyped normal or a societal normal, then you are probably what is now being labelled as neurodivergent.
I have heard of a lot of people sort of now they're older being diagnosed, particularly a lot of older women, because I think women are harder to diagnose and better at masking. Yeah. Which is something we'll cover later on in the episode. But would you consider yourself neurodivergent?
Probably, yeah. And the reason I would give for that, I'm very, very cautious about labels. I'm not entirely convinced they're completely necessary. However, I do know that they have a role in helping people navigate life, and particularly within the social structures that we have in life. So I'm not sure that in itself it's useful to have a title or a statement, if you like, about your cognitive capacity. But I think it can help identify your learning experience and your experience of people and how we are in social situations, which can help other people navigate you, perhaps. Did you follow that?
Yeah,
that makes sense to anyone outside of me. No. So did I answer the question by actually answering the question like that? So, I mean, when we talk about neurodivergent, particularly within this episode, we are talking about mainly people who have been, diagnosed with something like ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, or, just knowing that perhaps you are outside what Carrie and I have just discussed being a social norm or a stereotypical norm.
I actually know a lady who she's a little bit younger than me, and she's just been diagnosed with ADHD, and she has been offered medication for it, and she's taken it, and she said it has dramatically improved her lifestyle.
Wow, really?
Which I was surprised that the medication had such a profound effect. She said that before she wasn't able to finish tasks, get things done, everything was very overwhelming. And she said it has really improved
That's very interesting. So
her life.
When you asked me, would I consider myself, do you consider yourself neurotypical or neurodivergent?
I don't know. I mean, if anyone came to our production meetings, they might consider that we are both.
Carrie and I have just got up and done some stretches and a bit of yoga in the kitchen before we started this episode.
But also how
fatigued, weren't we, dear?
But also how chaotic we are with when we're writing down things and then we'll think of something else.
And we actually are very similar like that.
Yeah.
We both.
So if you are, then I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm less so than you.
Possibly, yeah. Do you know what's brought my attention to it is having done all the paperwork to have my son diagnosed with autism, and I'm still waiting for his ADHD assessment, like most people in this country.
Yeah.
Going down that path, it's long-winded. But when I did his paperwork and when I was talking with the child psychologist, I realised that I, for want of a better phrase, ticked every box. I recognised so much of myself in it. And I wonder how if that is the case, how profoundly it's affected my life, in particular, probably relationships with people and how I view myself. I don't know whether that could be, I'm quite haphazard, I have a million ideas and I want to do them all, and then I end up doing none of them well. That's really, really, really
apart from this podcast.
Apart from this podcast. Well, this is what you're a bit of a rock with that. You're like, right, we're going to do an episode every week. And I'm like, all right then, I'm just so tired. And you're like, we're going to do it anyway. But yeah, so I definitely would be typical of that. And I obviously see it in my own children. So I have one child who would be labelled neurodivergent and has autism and probably ADHD, and one child that would be stereotyped, labelled as neurotypical. But having met my daughter, there's very little that you'd find typical about her. She's quite a force. So yeah, I don't know. But this episode really is we're trying to explore if you are somebody that has been given a diagnosis, and we have to use that word really interestingly because it's not medical, is it?
No.
So neurodivergence as a group of people who are neurodivergent or a neurodivergent person, it's not necessarily a medical term. It's a way of looking at their cognitive functioning and social capacity.
Yeah.
So this episode is really looking at if you've had one of those diagnoses or label or however you want to put it.
Or you have a child or a family member.
How are you or how are they processing bereavement, loss, grief, death, dying, all of those things? So we're looking at if it looks different. And we do think it looks different for all people, but the focus is that today.
And I always think that, the neurotypical people or the normal people, they assume that these people can regulate emotions well. Well, in my experience, no. Not a lot of them can. And that they have good coping mechanisms. Well, also no, because people don't have good coping mechanisms, do they?
I think it's cultural as well. We are a culture of people who, whether you're neurodivergent or neurotypical, aren't really told to express sadness and grief well.
No.
They're like, oh, come on, cheer up.
Yeah, stiff up a lip.
Yeah.
It's very British.
It's, and it's not true of everybody, but I think, generationally, our parents were probably definitely the offspring of a generation that were definitely told to, cheer up, chin up, get on with it, keep on keeping on. And that obviously translates down the generation. So even for us, we might be leading or think we're leading in being empathetic, but we know lots of people our age who don't know how to discuss their feelings, who don't know how to be sad, who would really struggle and have struggled when your brother died and when my dad died recently, friends our age who can't say anything. So
yeah, and I think that's the misconception, isn't it? They think that if you're neurotypical, then you have a more acceptable way, should we say, of getting through grief. Like, journaling or, something of that sort of ilk to get through it better.
Yeah, and I think there's all those typical things that might be given to a neurotypical person to get through something. I think if you are neurodivergent or you think outside the box, dare I say it, or you think differently, journaling might not be right for you. It might not be
It's
right
not right
fit.
for me.
It's not right. Yeah, I struggle. I really enjoy journaling from time to time. I find it really useful, and then I find it my biggest fear, my biggest enemy. I find it changes all the time. That's the thing, isn't it? The human condition changes all the time, whether you're neurotypical or neurodivergent. The human condition changes all the time. We're transient. I think we're definitely like a culture of, right, you are that, and therefore you will behave like this in all situations moving forward. When you throw grief into the mix of anything, nobody behaves how they think they're going to.
Absolutely not. Everyone's experience of grief is totally individual, isn't it?
Yeah.
So whether that's taking longer to process things, that could be more than something that's a neurodivergent trait, couldn't it? Being irritable or angry, that's pretty typical of anyone who's maybe in grief. I know definitely I've had periods of being very irritable and sometimes very angry. And I am quite a quick-tempered person, as we've discussed previously. I do lose my rag fairly often. And, neurotypical people, they say they can avoid it all completely. Well, who does want to talk about hard things?
Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, is a valid grief response. Why don't I feel the way I'm supposed to feel? I mean, there isn't a way you're supposed to feel, whether you are neurodivergent or neurotypical. There isn't. I think that's the message that I would really strongly want to get across to anybody. There isn't, it's not linear. There isn't a way that you're supposed to feel in grief.
There is no right way. I'll tell you one thing that I noticed after my brother died. My nephew, his little boy, had health anxiety around anything, like coughs, colds. He felt like straight away, I think he thought things were terrible and somebody was going to get really poorly. And some of the literature I've read around neurodiversity and grief says they can focus on hyperfixating on death and health anxiety around those sorts of things. But my nephew is not neurodivergent as far as I know. Yeah. He's just a normal little boy. Say normal, like that's a title.
That's the transientness of the human condition, isn't it? You know, something really significant has happened to him, which has made him worry about the circumstances of his own life.
Yeah,
to me, that normal. Makes perfect sense.
I keep saying normal, and I feel terrible for saying it.
Yeah, but that's
what is normal?
Conditioning, isn't it? What we are taught is normal.
Yeah,
and I suppose that's the unpicking of things, isn't it? It's a big social movement if you've got to challenge your very beliefs in what is normal and what is not normal.
I think we've also got to remember the link between mind and body. I think it's important here that, like, some people who maybe have other cognitive issues, they may not know that they're sad, and they may show that. Maybe we've got children or someone who isn't diagnosed as neurodivergent. They may develop physical symptoms rather than talk about how they're feeling, like tics,
and it
trembling,
does happen,
like they can be really tired, and that can lead to soothing behaviour like stimming. You heard of stimming? Self-soothing behaviour, like rocking. Okay. That's called stimming. Yeah. So, you know, when children are quite neurodivergent or on that spectrum, as we would say, they might not be able to vocalise that they're sad.
Yeah, and it's quite because they don't understand the emotion. You mean? Yeah, they're not able to put it into words.
Yeah, so then they can display that in different ways.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting, isn't it? Like we've talked about mind body physiology before now, and I think there's a lot to be said for it. So it makes sense to me that, you know, there are different ways it would display, and physically is one of them in however that comes out, especially with children.
Yeah. And masking in particular for like adults, maybe. Like that, for people who've like maybe been diagnosed late, they could have been masking for a long time, you know, and sort of learning to mask their natural response to something, how they would naturally react, can be exhausting. So at funeral in particular, when there's so many people there, it can be absolutely exhausting, can't it? An exhausting time.
Well, funerals they're difficult for everybody. But I think if you have, let's say if you're neurodivergent and you have sensory issues, a funeral isn't just an awkward social event and a very sad event. You've got to wear uncomfortable clothes. There's strange smells, people hugging you.
Yeah.
Dare I say it? I'm a hugger. I like being hugged and I like hugging other people. Most of the time. I don't like everybody doing it to me. But if you are somebody that doesn't like that kind of thing, it's totally overwhelming for you. Small talk, you know. Oh, you know, did they live a good full life? Like just nonsense talking. The people just filling gaps. And it's not spite. It's just what people do in that situation because we're worried.
Yeah.
Whispering in a funeral, you know, that's, if you've got any sensory issues, that's probably really hard to be around. Even where you sit, it's uncomfortable. The space is usually uncomfortable. I mean, pews aren't made for comfort, are they?
No, absolutely not. And if you're grieving already, like your sensory tolerance is already probably at an all-time low.
Your tolerance generally.
Yeah. So things that were a little bit annoying are now like unbearable. I suppose it's the fear of being judged, and it can lead to a bit of isolation, can't it? People want to isolate themselves.
And I think, you know, if you do feel all those sensory issues and all the things we've just listed, it's not being dramatic. It's your nervous system, whoever you are, neurodivergent or neurotypical. It's in survival mode. It's finding a way to get through the day.
Yeah.
However that looks.
Yeah. And for some, that could be, you know, leaving early. Sometimes the quietness after the funeral.
Not going.
Yeah. Not going at all. Yeah. Sometimes the quietness after the funeral is hard, you know?
Yeah.
There's loads of noise and then there's not. I mean, you see people all the time. I see them wearing headphones.
Yeah, I wear
all
headphones.
The time.
I wear headphones in a supermarket.
And
I cannot stand it.
Is it to cancel out noise or?
Yeah. Yeah, since I got poorly a couple of years ago with what has been given the title FND, which actually some people have said to me can be a symptom of PTSD, chronic PTSD, physical, I really struggle in certain environments where I never did, never, ever, ever did. And so supermarkets for me now are just horrendous. I feel like I'm being like thrown into a washing machine and like spun about. It's really unpleasant. Makes me feel dizzy, sick. I can't stand it. So yeah, I wear headphones. And I think for a lot of people, that kind of sensory overload, I mean, if I felt like that everywhere I went all of the time, it would be absolutely unmanageable.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I have to turn the radio down when I'm reversing.
Oh,
when I'm parking.
My car does that for me.
Oh, does it? I have to, if I'm concentrating.
Oh, Vincent Mahogany, ever so clever. Ever so clever.
Or if I'm following the map, following the sat nav, I have to turn the music down if I don't know where I'm going. So
it's like when my children talk to me at the same time and the TV's on, I basically want to go and cry and hide.
Put your headphones on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, really, you have to do what you have to do to get through these things. And it's not disrespectful, it's self-preservation.
Yeah. And you've already touched on this, but the masking, this is what, when you are overloaded in a sensory way, lots of people will, not show you that they're actually inside, actually completely having a breakdown of some sort. So we all use various masks to get through it, whether that looks like a fixed smile, whether that looks like a non-expression, there's so many ways it can look. But again, none of it's wrong. I just think all of us need to be more aware of how people grieve, whether they are friends or colleagues or whatever, but we don't know whether they're neurodivergent. You don't know. You don't know whether they're neurotypical. We don't know anything about people, and you especially don't know anything about them when they're in grief.
No. I think as long as we all honour the way we grieve and sort of set our own boundaries, I think that's the main thing for me. Yeah. And don't always assume that people are going to verbalise how they feel, because, a lot of the time, they don't say things and saying the right thing, they're performing how they think you want them to perform. It's like, when someone says to you,
you're somebody else, aren't you?
Yeah, we do that all the time when we're in grief. How are you feeling? Oh, yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. And actually, you're not, are you?
I feel absolutely fucking dreadful. That's how I feel. It's exhausting, I think. Really exhausting. And you can see why people suffer burnout after a bereavement. It's not always necessarily the bereavement itself, it's everything that goes with it.
Yeah, I mean, like grief plus masking is one huge emotional explosion. I mean, it's coming for you sooner or later, isn't it?
And it's usually when you least want it.
Absolutely.
It'll be in a supermarket or somewhere. Oh, what's going on about the supermarket? Oh, no,
I know. It's the only place you go, though, darling.
Well, I don't like to go there at all, if I'm honest. But yeah, it will come out. It'll find its way out somewhere. It's quite often, I don't know about you, Carrie, but like for me, I find it hits me when I'm on my own, say like the shower.
Oh yeah, that's a good place.
Always have a good cry in the shower. And also in my car when I'm driving on my own, which is probably not the best thing to admit to say DVLA.
So let's have a little chat about what could actually help in these situations. I mean, there's loads of information available online for these sorts of things, and some real practical information, not just what sounds good on an inspirational Instagram or Facebook post.
Yeah.
I think number one, there's no correct timeline for grief.
No.
It comes in bursts, gaps, waves.
Yeah.
You might grieve cognitively before you grieve emotionally, or the other way around, and whichever way is absolutely fine.
Yeah, and I think it changes all the time as well. It's not, we always say it's not linear, but it's like,
it's nonsensical.
It really is nonsensical. You can having a really, really nice day. Everything's ticking along really nicely. You've had moments of joy and then boom. Just
sadness chaser.
It's the sadness chaser. It just comes and smacks you around the chops. You've got no idea what's going on.
So number two is they say routines, but be flexible. So, I mean, routines are different to everyone, don't they? So whatever is a good routine for you to try and sort of embrace that, the new normal, isn't it?
Or get back to your own normal, one that you're comfortable with anyway. Let grief be interest-based is something I've read recently. If you hyperfixate on death, rituals, numbers, spirituality, research, well, that's processing. And you're not being morbid. You're making sense of the chaos in the language that your brain understands.
Yeah, I mean, communication's key, isn't it? I mean, it's okay to say, I can't talk to you. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or, please don't hug me, which is what you would say. No, you wouldn't. You'd say, please hug me.
I love a hug, as long as, not a smelly person or something, that's fine. But yeah, I think that we are brought up to be polite for the most part. Most people are. So actually coming away from that and saying, I can't talk. I appreciate you being here is a huge thing to be able to do. It's hard. Please don't hug me. I mean, whether you're neurodivergent or not, in grief, you might just be holding it together. And the thing that tips you over the edge is somebody's kindness. And it's quite often that way, don't you think?
Absolutely.
So this, again, is not saying not to be kind to people. It's just about our awareness of all people all of the time.
But some people can be offended, can't they, if you don't want to hug them or, some people do take offence.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a them problem.
It's it's on them. It really is. It really is.
So, I mean, grief isn't something to fix, but support is important. And like I said, there are endless things online. Cruise bereavement support, they've got a lovely section on neurodivergence and grief, particularly around children. Winston's Wish, they've got stuff around children and supporting those who struggle to express how they feel verbally. So they might have like challenging behaviour or use harmful coping strategies. They've got some information there so that those they don't go forgotten, basically. It's all inclusive, like we said before. Yeah.
If you can, you could look for neurodivergent affirming therapists. That's a very long, really long tongue-twisting thing. Yeah, but so, most people are aware of a therapist or a counsellor you can go to for most things, but you will have specific bereavement counsellors in the same way you'll have specific counsellors or therapists that are more used to and have more expertise in working with neurodivergent people. So if that's you, do a search and find a local neurodivergent specialist that is going to be able to perhaps speak your language as it is, Somebody that understands those different sensory and communication issues.
And there will be someone out there.
Yeah, and there's sometimes like peer support as well, so like groups. I mean, for a lot of people, groups are quite a challenging thing, but for other people, they're not. And actually being in a group is far less threatening than one-to-one. And
online groups, I know we always talk about the new normal.
Yeah.
They've got basically groups for anything, for anyone.
Yeah.
There will be something there that suits your
you can
needs.
Look back on our episodes and find Ben May from the new normal and look him up. It's well worth doing. So if you're neurodivergent and grieving, then please hear this.
I mean, what's our message here? You're doing the best you can.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with how you're doing it.
No,
there's nothing wrong with
you're not grieving wrong. This is everybody's doing the best they can.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are. And don't be afraid, I suppose that's the message. Don't be afraid to tell people how you feel, especially if you're worried it's going to offend them.
Yeah.
It's better that they know and they know how to treat you and deal with you.
And your way of grieving deserves as much compassion as any other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you what I thought about actually is what about in the workplace? If somebody's neurodivergent, like you said, we don't always know, do we? In the workplace. No. And is there enough compassion in the workplace? Well, we know there's not anyway when it comes to grief.
I wonder whether this movement, this neurodivergent movement and the I don't like the word labelling, and I keep saying I'm just trying to find a good alternative, but having those diagnoses and people becoming more aware of the differences in neurodivergent behaviour and traits, the more we know about it, the more people know about it, the more employers know about it, the more
options.
And the more encompassing we can be for people, the more inclusive we can be for people. So yeah, I've definitely got room for it, all of it. But I think what we're talking about is a movement that we will see, like you said earlier. Were we even aware of this term 5-10 years ago? Where will we be in another 5 or 10 years? We'll probably have, or companies will be required to have a neurodivergent bereavement policy in place.
Yeah, which would be fantastic because, you know, how do we support people, especially if maybe they haven't got a diagnosis and they are struggling with grief and they think, oh, it's just me. Perhaps they have got something underlying that they've not found out about.
Like you say, in the workplace, I wonder whether, as time goes by, we're going to have more things in place to not just support, but also identify neurodivergent people and traits and put things in place and have a better system.
Well, they're definitely working towards things with menopause. So, I mean, like twin perimenopause with neurodivergence and grief. I mean, you've got a whole fucking explosion there, haven't you? So
that is some serious stuff going on.
Some serious stuff. And I think as well, you know, with work, you should be given the option to talk about it, because then when you go back to work, I don't want people to ask me. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Just stop asking me. You know, it's triggering, or, you know, it drains me. I don't want it.
Most of the time what we're talking about is communication. And people being more comfortable with different types of communication, where culturally we've been very polite. And that's why most people who might be considered neurotypical think that people who are neurodivergent are impolite. You know, it's actually, so we're talking about two things: a broader understanding for all of us about everyone, and a willingness and an ability to communicate better. That's the long and short of it. That's the dream, isn't it? So anyhow, if this episode has resonated with you in any way at all, then please do share it with other people who you think might benefit from it. And as always,
talk about death, because avoiding it does not make it go away.
No, we are dying
to talk to you.
Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning into It's a Death Sentence. Please keep listening to our weekly episodes.
And if you like our show, please like, share and subscribe.
We are dying to talk to you.